Life Recovery Bible, Daily Devotion. The words Jesus has spoken, they are spirit and they are life. A humble beginning. Have you ever thought about that we sometimes need a humble beginning? Even though we're strong and we are successful, but sometimes we go through a stage of that we have to admit that we are powerless over our problems, that our lives have become unmanageable. One part of our life, we feel so strong and so manageable, right? And everything goes well, but then we become addicted to some sin. We become addicted to some type of drugs or alcohol, sex, whatever addiction there is, gambling, or even lying, anger to your wife, or jealousy, envy. You know, all those spirits that really attack us and make us addictive too. Well, we have here a story of the healing of Naaman on chapter 5, 2 Kings chapter 5. And it says, the king of Aram had great admiration for Naaman, the commander of his army, because through him the Lord had given Aram great victories, right? So Naaman was the commander of the king's army. Say he got a lot of victories, right? But though Naaman, right, the commander, was a mighty warrior, he suffered from leprosy. Now you can read the whole 15 verses, and I want to go to verse 9, chapter 5, 2 Kings, verse 9, to see Naaman got some instructions, right? And he did not admit that he was powerless over that problem that he was going through. He also didn't admit that he couldn't manage that part of his life. So, and verse 9 says, so Naaman went with his horses and chariots and waited at the door for Elijah's house, right? But Elijah sent a messenger out to him with this message: go and wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan River. Then your skin will be restored and you will be healed of your leprosy, right? So let's see how Naaman felt about what someone told him. Go dip myself. I'm a commander in chief. You're asking me to go dip myself 7 times? Something so simple, right? A simple instruction. How many times we get some simple instructions in our life and we just stuck on ourselves and we do not follow them until we fully hit rock bottom and say, okay, I'm ready, right? So look what verse 11 says. But Naaman became angry and stalked away. He walked away. I thought he would certainly come out to meet me. He wanted Elijah to come meet him. But because Elijah, the prophet, sent someone, he felt disrespected. I don't know how he felt, but he thought that, well, this must not be important to me if it ain't coming from Elijah's mouth, right? He said, I expected him to wave his hand over the leprosy and call on the name of the Lord, his God, and heal me. Sometimes in life, we want to wait for a person to come to a person to put his hands on you or pray for you and for you to be healed, right? The same thing that this person went through in the Bible, right? So what is this saying? Let's keep reading. Aren't the rivers of Damascus, the Abana, and the Pharpar better than any of the rivers of Israel? Why shouldn't I wash in them? He didn't want to wash in this dirty water, maybe it was. So he wanted a nice water, right? And be healed. So Naaman turned and went away in a rage, right? So Naaman, he did not accept that he had no power over his circumstance of leprosy. He did not accept that he couldn't manage that situation. In our lifetime, it says here, it can be very humiliating, right? To admit that we are powerless, especially if we are used to being in control, especially if we are always got control of everything, right? Especially if we are used to being in control, we may be powerful in some areas of our lives, but out of control in terms of our addictive, compulsive behaviors. If we refuse to admit our powerlessness, we may lose everything. Have you ever felt, have you lost everything? I've had. So it says that one unmanageable part may infect and destroy everything else. The experience of Aramean army commander Naaman, which we were just talking about, illustrate how this is true. He was a powerful military and political power, right? Figure, a man of wealth, position, and power. He also had leprosy, which promised to bring about the loss of everything he held, right? Lepers were made outcasts from their families and from society. So we have this commander of the army that because he had leprosy, he was scared that he might be outcast away from society and their families. A powerful man, right? And disgraceful death, even up to dying. Naaman heard about a prophet in Israel who could heal him. He found the prophet, and the prophet told him that in order to be healed, he needed to dip himself 7 times in the Jordan River. Naaman went away. He was outraged, right? Having expected that his power would buy him an instant and easy cure. Money can't buy eternal life. Money can't buy healing. Money can't buy being free from any spirits and any addictions in life. It says, in the end, however, he acknowledged his powerlessness. So he finally said, I am powerless, right? Followed the instructions and recovered completely. Our diseases, listen, our diseases are as life-threatening as the leprosy of Naaman's day. They slowly separate us from our families, right? And lead towards the destruction of everything important to us.